Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are here together with Adrian of Obfuscated Records, who will be performing as Pulsating
Pulsating
Cyst.
Cyst.
Yes, at Wonder Valley 13. Hello, Adrian. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. How are you doing, Mark?
Oh, loitering aimlessly, as always. We'll get on with the questions. What was the sound that you heard all those years ago that got you started on the path to where you are today?
Well, that's a good question. I would say that, you know, I guess a kind of a big change shift for me in my music tastes came in the late '80s. I went to an art school in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and met a lot of new people there that were into different types of industrial music and bands I'd never heard of, like Einsturgeon de Neubauten and Throbbing Gristle, or Nocturnal Emissions, Soviet France, and a bunch of other stuff. And that's kind of when I started making my own music. Or I had never really heard the term noise back then, not until like the mid '90s. And before the mid '90s, I'd listened to a lot of Nurse with Wound, and Stapleton did this collaboration with William Bennett, and that was, pretty noisy. I mean, definitely a hard to listen to album. And there was this other CD I'd found called Dr. Nerve or something. It's kind of like a really noisy improv jazz, and it was like next to AC/DC. That was probably one of the loudest, most painful auditory experiences I'd ever experienced up until that point. And so I had kind of been making music on and off through the '90s, and then took a hiatus, and in like 2004, 2005, I had been introduced to circuit bending, and started circuit bending, some toys myself. I circuit bent a CD player, a bunch of other things, and that kind of got me on the road to where I am now. My first project was, at the time, that was primarily a circuit bending project, was X2GEF. And at some point, I guess towards the late aughts, I wanted to do a new project that was more kind of more of a science fiction inspired project, and just started brainstorming for names, and I don't know, I guess there was this video on YouTube called something like Pulsating Subcutaneous Cyst, and it was this video of a very large, like fist-sized tumor or cyst removed from an animal that was still pulsating on its own. And it's still, that video is still out there. These days, if you search for Pulsating Cyst, you'll find a lot of things like that. For a while, I kind of dominated the SEO, but more recently, I've kind of gotten surpassed by actual cyst videos. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, but be warned, if you search my name, you're going to find a lot of hard to watch material. So it was still a very experimental project. I had this kind of notion at the beginning of trying to incorporate as many tube electronics as I could, and I still utilize a number of those pieces. You know, there's two modern manufacturers of this equipment, Trogotronics and Metasonics, you know, who are both pretty well known. And I had at one point, and I didn't realize how closely connected this person was to my circle of noise friends, but I had seen pictures of this thing called the Flying Fish that I believe is made by Henry Barnes, and you know, it's like this Foot Locker sized synthesizer with, you know, I don't know, a dozen or so tubes on the front of it, and I was pretty fascinated with that.
That Henry Barnes from Amps for Christ?
Yeah, the one and only. And he's, I guess, you know, he's played with Bastard Noise and is friends with the guy behind Trogotronics. I'm drawing a blank on his name at the minute. I don't think I've ever actually met him in person. I mean, I've met Henry, but not the Trogotronics guy. And you know, at some point, and I also had like some vintage signal generators, like Heathkit signal generators, and some, you know, I kind of played around with modifying those. And you know, I've always been kind of a gear nut. You know, if the equipment, the wall of gear behind me is any indication. And so I eventually got interested in Eurorack format. I had used modular synthesizers before in college, and you know, at first I'm just like, well, you know, I want to try a couple of, you know, I'm just going to get this delay unit. Well, I need some, you know, control voltage sources, and you know, next thing you know, you've got 5 racks of, you know, modular equipment, which is mostly what I'm using now. I have a few small items that you know don't fit in a rack that I use. One is a well, it's a 555 timer. That's a noise generator, Atari Punk console that I've also tweaked a little bit. It's in a 3D printed. Let me see. I've got it right here. It's in a 3D printed housing that I made. You know, I have thought about trying to manufacture a number of these and sell them, but
that is a thing of beauty.
And then another kind of oddball, you know, unit that this is one of those things you just, I mean, this is the anal amp. The housing is for a device called the anal lamp. I don't know what it was for, like, but someone made this, and I found it on eBay, and you know, it's a pretty simple circuit. It's a little tone generator, but it's got this like sweet spot in it that just makes the best ripping tube sounds, you know, and like you just get it in there and it's great. That's kind of been a signature piece of gear for me.
And it's kind of a great color as well, you know, especially dealing with all things anal.
All things, yeah, right. Poop brown. I don't know. They, you know, you always wonder, like, did they not notice?
Yeah.
what their name could be misread as. But I also have a Rich machine, which is a Metasonics tube synth, and I've got a couple of other of his devices, as well as some Trogotronic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then on top of that, you know, the visual component for the shows has always been important for me. the waveform generator. I get clips from sci-fi movies, particularly having to do with uh, space monsters or time travel or
Hmm.
stuff kind of ilk. And I think that's about it. I mean, the sound has definitely evolved. Uh, Lately, it's a little bit more noise with beats, as they say, um, which it's only a bad thing if you're a purist about noise. So I like variety.
So, what is your process for building a piece?
Well, that's I mean, usually what I'll do, I guess, is I'll just pull all the patch cords out and start patching things back in until I find something I like, and then I might use that patch for a while. Um, it's been this is the first thing I've done in over a year, actually, because of the pandemic and other major life changes. I haven't done it in a while, and it took me a while to get. I moved, about a year ago, and hadn't really gotten my space set up yet, and so this was a good motivation to get it actually set up where I could do stuff again, and so I'm thankful for that. And I don't know, it's really, it's kind of hard for me to. I mean, sometimes I'll get a new piece of gear and I'll be like, oh, let's see what I can do with this. And I want to, I'll have some thought. It's not like I have uh, compositions. It's more like I'll just see where the patch takes me.
Hmm.
And it's and I've always been more. Oh, I just enjoy the process. It's I don't like to belabor uh, it. I'll go into editing and I'll tweak stuff and put things together, but it's not. I don't enjoy like a really um, arduous process to make music. I just like to turn everything on and jam and hit record.
It works,
Sure,
you know.
especially when all you do is play live shows and never. No, I almost always will do like a practice jam, before a show slash ear check, you know,
Hmm.
before I haul all that shit out to wherever and set it up.
Well, I
Um,
remember seeing your shows when you had the CD player with all the switches on it and a marvelous parametric equalizer. And as I recollect, back at that point, you were spending a lot of time on the 10 freeway. You referred to the 10 freeway as your, or no, was it the 10 or it was
well,
north south on the west coast, going up to
oh
Seattle
well,
and
oh yeah, yeah. Well, I did do a couple of tours um, up up the coast, both as Ex Geff and as Pulsating Cyst.
hmm.
Uh, the last one I did was Pulsating Cyst, which was a lot of fun. Um, I wonder what the future of that, is going to be like for people, you know,
Touring.
touring. Yeah, I mean, it's, thing. It just seems like, even optimistically, things are going to be a little bit different. Even the Pulsating Cyst is afraid of the pandemic. It keeps the cyst at bay.
Keeps the cyst at bay, indeed.
So,
Well, and you've already talked about pieces of gear that you find particularly inspiring. Is there one in particular that you're going to be using for Wonder Valley 13 or that you have used?
well, I mean, both of those, the
Oh, the Pink Beauty? Oh,
the,
yeah.
the cyst generator and the anal amp
Yeah,
and
awesome.
the roach machine, and there's just too many modules to you know,
Well,
to really.
perhaps this would be a good time to move on into anecdotes about the physical Wonder Valley experimental, which you have experienced on a number of occasions.
Yeah. God, I don't remember what year was the first one, but it was, it was back when Steve Davis was still running it, and
Right, right.
God, it was like it was a little too close to the summer, and it was just blazing hot. I mean, there was this one show. Let's see, I think I've got this one. There's this one particularly good set that I had early on as Pulsating Cyst, and it was like, as I was arriving in Wonder Valley, it was like over 115 degrees, and after sun went down, it was still like 105 or something. I think after, I don't know, it was after that year he moved it a little earlier in the spring, so it wouldn't be quite so hot. You just never really knew what was going to happen. It was always, the great thing about it is that, it's out in the middle of nowhere. You can be as loud as you want, do it, you kind of do whatever, and then crash somewhere nearby or drive back to LA. Like one night, or one of the times, I stayed in the parking lot and just slept in the back of the Jeep. I'd finally just drifted off right before sunup, and then all of a sudden I hear this guy like crushing cans right outside, just like 20 feet away. Like he was crushing cans from the night before. Damn it. And or one really infamous incident, and this was when I was playing as X2Gaf. I think supposedly one of the locals who was a waitress at the restaurant was there on her night off and was trashed, and just was heckling every single band. Like, I mean, it was like for 4 hours straight, and I could hear her at the beginning of my set, and then I got pretty loud, and then part of that act was the dick nipples, which if you've never seen it, they're these inflatable balloons,
Right.
and she liked that. I won her over with that, and then I guess later she, after the show, she found out that she'd made quite a scene and was very embarrassed about it. And I've never seen her again. Unfortunately, I suppose, but it's just, you never. I've been on a lot, like, I don't know what other types of music shows are like, but I've been to a lot of noise shows that had heckling, and that was probably one of the most intense hecklers. But on one of my tours up, I think it was in Seattle. Another place where things get really crazy are bars. I was in the middle of a set. You're really intense. I usually just tune out the audience completely. I'm focused on the gear, and I look up, and there's this guy like hanging from the ceiling, like from the rafters, right in front of my table. But I almost set the stage on fire at Wonder Valley once, or at least my table. I've shut off the circuit breakers numerous times with fog machines. It's crazy. There was that one time where it started raining right before I went on, and I dragged the PA.
They had to move you inside. Yeah, I remember that.
That was and then I just ran it at full blast.
Yeah, well, there were still people there watching. It was the rain didn't scare them off, so that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I've ruined a number of PA, usually my own PA, but I've been to a few shows where like the act right before me, trashed the PA, and I didn't have my own, so
And you're just SOL. Yeah.
Well, I just, the last time that happened, I just played through the blown PA. It wasn't very loud, but it was a challenge.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I've got a lot, I've got a lot of merch for sale in various forms. Some not necessarily music related, but I've gotten into enamel pens lately, and I have an Etsy
Ooh.
shop, and
Oh, you have an Etsy shop. Okay.
so like you go to Etsy shop obfuscated designs, and got a lot of like kind of cool pens, some hands
Awesome.
holding skeletons, uh, decapitated
Oh.
chicken head. uh, some are
Yeah,
related.
you've been busy.
Some are related to. Well, this is a new one I need to put up on there. It's a noise pin.
Oh, that's awesome.
X2Gef skull helmet. I've had that one for a while. They've been selling. I've got the Crimson Bob.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'll be putting this in the description below.
yeah. Hook me up with a link to that. I've got this uh, the Nerve Man.
Yeah.
Um, I've got some T-shirts that I need to put up there, and
Well, on that happy note, thank you so much, Adrian. This has been fun. And your new studio looks great. And have a great afternoon.
you too. See you soon.